Were you aware in your beginning stages of social media that this was something that ultimately you had ownership of, this relationship, this thing that you were navigating in?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I had, honey, not a idea.
Okay.
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 I'm an actress, right? I moved out here. I knew acting. I knew SAG. I knew, that's what I knew, right? You know how long it took me getting the union, honey? That's what Tab knew.
Okay.
And I was always told not to get on social media. As an actor, they were like, they ain't gonna take you serious. You get on there, And so I was like, all right.
Who gives this information? This is the
Listen.
most mind-boggling thing to me when I talk to people and they go, you know what they said?
Yeah.
I'm so curious. Who are they?
The people who still ain't working.
Right? I wish we could put a real name on
Yeah.
they. Like when I hear people say, no, you know what they told me.
Right, yeah.
Everybody told me I shouldn't.
Yeah.
Who?
But I will tell you, I did have acting, teachers, casting directors, like going to workshops and training. They would say that, and I would listen. I'd be like, okay. So I was always very afraid, in the beginning of getting on social media. I remember I even had friends when the Vine came out, and they all took off on Vine, and we were all actors together. And I was like, oh, honey, y'all not gonna work. Y'all not gonna work. And I was broke, and they was making money, and I still was like, oh, y'all not gonna. I had thought I was better.
Yeah.
And they was on social media, and God was like, oh, I'm gonna show you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna humble you real quick, right? But when I got on social media, it was only because I was being obedient. I kind of fought it, right? But in my journey of my sickness, and after I had the prayer that I told you about, a thing that you should know about me is, from the time I can remember as a child, I have a gift of seeing, right?
Okay.
And dreaming and hearing things that nobody else can see.
I know two other people like this, by the way.
Oh, okay. Well, very good. So you're familiar.
I know two other people like this. Yes.
And so when, as a kid, I could dream things. I wake up and tell my mom, and them like, there's no way for you to know that, right? And it's still to this day. And so about a week or two after, I had given God this information that I would, if he heals me, he could have me. I had this dream, and I saw myself on the show. And on this show, the screen was small, but I was completely like who I am, right? My hair was shorter. I had like a little bitty afro.
Okay.
And I remember waking up, and I was like, okay, God, reveal that to me, because at this time, I'm still not healed. I'm still not well. I'm not on, auditioning. I'm not really able to act. I'm not doing stand-up, because I had tried to do stand-up for a little while, trying to get a TV show. That was my goal. And in prayer, I was like, God, what was this? How was I on a show? And I heard a voice that said, start doing videos. And I was like, oh, no, Lord, Caesar, I'm not going to do that. I can't do videos. And the voice said again, start doing videos. I was like, why would I do a video? And I'm sitting in my floor, and I heard as clear as I'm talking to you, he said, listen, when you were out trying to get a TV show and you was doing stand-up, because I was going to little clubs and stuff, he was like, you was reaching maybe 15, 30 people a night. You start doing videos, you're going to reach thousands in minutes. And I was like, see, that's where I got you, because I ain't even got thousands of followers. I think I probably had like, with my friends and family on Facebook, 3,000 followers, right? The voice was so loud, he said, start doing videos. And I was like, what would I even do videos about? And so when I first started doing videos, I was kind of telling the same like jokes and stuff I would tell on stage. And I would like go live on my Facebook page and talk about being a mom and, being a wife and all that. And maybe about a couple of weeks in, my daughter came home from school, and she was like, hey, Mama, we saw this documentary at school. I think you should watch it. And it was What the Health. And I was like, well, it ain't every day, that a kid come home and tell you to watch a documentary. And so when we watched this documentary, it was like maybe a light bulb moment when they started talking about not all diseases are hereditary. Sometimes we can eat the same thing that causes the same disease in our family. My mama had died at 51. My daddy is now 72. He's the oldest man to ever live in our family. People die at young ages in my family, and they get sick at young ages. And so the only thing that I could think of was that we ate the same way. And so I was like, you know what? Let me try to do this little vegan challenge, right? And so I told my husband, I was like, let's do it for 30 days together. And let me just see if it helps me get better. Because I had a headache in the back of my head for 1 year and 7 months.
Wow.
Every day.
Wow.
So when I did the vegan challenge, in the first 10 days, my headache disappeared. And I was like, okay, Lord, I'm on to something, right? By the 30 days, I had started getting energy again because I had chronic fatigue, chronic pain throughout my body. I was just in bad shape. I was starting to feel like myself again. So I told my husband, I know this is supposed to be a 30-day thing, but tomorrow I'm not going to go back. This is going to be my life. I think I'm going to go vegan. And he was like, that's so good for you. but I'm gonna,
You
need
go
a
ahead.
piece of chicken, right?
I love that you're gonna do this, babe. This is
But
so good
right,
for
that's
you.
so good for you.
It's great for
right?
you.
Which is a very important thing because you got to go on journeys by
I
yourself
support you.
sometimes.
Yeah, I
Right?
support
yes,
you.
exactly. And even if they don't, sometimes you got to be
You
all
gotta
right.
just be by yourself.
And so the moment that I said, I'm going to go vegan, like it ain't a challenge, it's going to be my life, the same voice that I heard that said, start doing videos, whispered in my ear and said, now tell people what you're eating in your videos.